I'm really curious about how you achieve that painterly look at the end. In your cathedral presentation, you use some metal paints stacked on each other, and is there some bevel and emboss to achieve that thick painterly?
That's Hargreaves' proprietary software. I can't tell you what it is. It's very simple actually. It's well, I have a special brush, but you can achieve it in Photoshop. You just double click on the. Oh God. See if I have it. See that. Or that. Away.
I've seen nothing.
Anyway, you double click on the. It's an effect. So you double click on the layer, and you can choose the effect. It's about. It is like an emboss. It raises the, and you can choose the light angle, and you set the brush. You paint the brush in black, and you set it to screen, and then you set the emboss, and you get that effect. But you have to have a good textured brush so it looks painterly. And then what was your other question? The bits, the lens flares and things?
It's not about the lens flares. It's about that it was like three types of metal texture stacked on each other, like an orange layered.
Well, what I do is the final thing I do with all of my stuff is, and you saw me flicking through it, was flicking really fast, is I basically use a layer of like dirty rust or colourful rust, and I use layers and layers and layers of different coloured rust to get the random effects of colour. And then using a mask, I will either paint in or erase where I want the colour to be. It's just kind of a classical way of doing colour, you know, and you set colours beside each other and it pops, you know. So that's what I did.
Okay, thank you.
Más valaki? Éljetek a lehetőséggel, mert most van itt Sean.
Don't be shy.
Hi. First of all, thanks for your time. And the other thing is, which I want to ask, is how did you get recognized? Obviously, you did awesome work, but what was the point when you knew you had a name, or I guess you know what I'm asking?
When I got recognized, or when I got a job? Or both?
Both.
Well, I could always draw and I could always design. When I designed since I was 17, I got a job designing prototypes for IBM. I was very young and there was a lot of pressure at this company. So I started getting really into design back then. But in terms of film, after school I designed cars for 3 years, concept cars for General Motors. My friend was working with James Cameron on Terminator 2. And I was drawing a car, and he was drawing really cool robots. I was like, oh. So he helped me get into film. I did storyboards, and I never did storyboards in my life. So I invented some silly little stories, did storyboards, showed them, and I immediately got hired. And it was great, but it was horrible because I hated storyboards. And I still hate doing them. I really respect the guys that do them, but I can't just rip through frames, you know, it was difficult. So I learned a lot about cinema, and but what happened with me is I got bored doing the storyboards, so I was able to really start rendering the backgrounds of the storyboards, you know, and directors hate that because they want it to be about the actor, the talent. But I would really start rendering and designing the scene, and then I had a director said, you know, can you do some set drawings for me? And so I started doing some set drawings, and then I started having a portfolio of that. And that plus studying architecture. You know, you've got to study architecture if you want to. If, my view, I've been doing it since 1991. It's almost 30 years, and I never knew anything about architecture other than my house that I grew up in. And I studied architecture after I was in Paris, just reading it and learning the classic. I had a book that changed me, which was called The Classical Orders of Architecture. The Classical Orders of Architecture changed my life. And I pored over that book, learned all about the details and the proportions, and I use those today. And you can use that in anything, you know. And you just got to educate yourself, and it will come out, and people will notice the difference between you and other people. I'm always conscious of going in an interview, and there's been 3 guys ahead of me. So, how do you set yourself apart? You know, difficult, right? You just look on ArtStation today. There's loads of great artists, but and I say this without wanting to sound egotistical. There's a lot of great concept art out there. There's not a lot of great concept design. And like I said, I've been looking at concept design since 1975, and there's a repetition going on now. It's because people are looking at the thing to design the thing. If you look at the thing to design the thing, you're going to get the thing, you know? So it's really hard to sit down and figure out your own way and your own path and your own aesthetic. I seem to have kind of found it, but it's been, you know, it's been years of searching for it. You can't just go out there and find it. It's going to find you. You're not going to find it, it'll find you. You just got to, it takes time. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, perfectly.
Yeah. Your path is very important. You know, you have a choice of, on a Saturday, am I going to play a video game, or am I going to go out and take photographs? Am I going to go to a museum, look at art? Am I going to look at fashion? You know, all of this stuff helps you. If you play a video, I don't play video games because I will never be seen again. So I don't play them. The last one I played was Tomb Raider in 1995, and I was gone for 6 months. And so I avoid them completely. So in avoiding them, and avoiding that kind of stuff, I really am all about just design, and that's my life, really. You know, and I feed that by doing what I do. I have 3 things I'm interested in: design, photography, and music. And I make 3 of those. Those 3 things I rotate all around. I get bored with one, I do the other, and I do the other. If you put all your eggs in one basket, as we say, you're going to get bored and you're going to get burnt out, so be careful. Any other questions?
Hey, yeah, it's been a great presentation. Thanks. I was just wondering if you have any thoughts on the future of the industry, like tool-wise, and just throwing out like AI or VR. If you thought or maybe tried some of those. Yeah.
Well, I'm always very suspicious of everyone jumping on things. It's probably because I'm British and I come from a land that's been invaded for 3,000 years, so I'm very suspicious of new things happening. Everyone in the States right now, my mates are talking about Blender. Everything's Blender. You look at it and you're like, okay, but the design is still the same as whether you're using Maya. You know, it's not, I look for things that help you express yourself as a designer. And I think VR is great, it can help. It can certainly help directors in my profession understand, you know, the space of which they are going to be working within, and designers. But for me, I mean, if I was going to do VR, I would just do the basic shape, whatever it is. Does it fit the person? Does it feel good? And then go from there. But you know, it's getting really, everything's getting very techy, you know. And I work very, very fast, but at the end of the day, I'm exhausted, man. Click, 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 drop down window. I mean, it's just, honestly, I mean, the thing that I always say, and I came up with a bunch of guys my age, and a lot of them have just dropped away because they didn't make it past the 20-year mark. 20 years. And if you've only been doing it for 3 years, 20 years seems like a long time, but after 20 years, it's not that, it doesn't feel that long, but it's very, it wears on you. You know, if you do creatures only and you do creatures for 20 years, here I am doing an eye, a claw. You know what I mean? So you've got to expand your horizons. You've got to expand your interests, and just mix it up. Because I mean, a lot of you guys look like you're probably in your mid-30s and 20s, right? You know, going up to 30 years in the industry is pushing it. You know, it's trying to come up with ideas every single time. You go on a job at 9 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, and you have to come up with something quick. You have to work quick. You have to present it quick. You know, it's not only just thinking of the design. It's then representing the design. How do you communicate that design, right? Well, you can sit down and draw it. You can make a sculpture of it. You can do a 3D illustration of it. You can do a photo-based illustration of it. Do any of that stuff, but how long is that going to take? And the length that it's going to take is going to determine what you do. And then at the end, it's got to be really cool looking, right? And you've got to bang this out every day. You can't come to work and go, oh, I don't feel like it today. Wish I do. But then you sit there. As soon as I sit in front of that screen, I don't know how it happens, but everything is like this. It just focuses into a cone, right? And I was telling someone today, I was telling Martin, you know, I'll be sitting there and someone will be talking to me and I just realised that they've been standing there talking to me because I've been so focused on what I'm doing. And you have to do that out beyond 20 years is very hard. So you've got to find ways of stimulating yourself. And like I said, going back to your original question, the tech is good, the tech will help you express yourself, but the tech is not going to help you. It'll help you design a little bit, but it has to come from within. And it has to come with experiences of travel, people you meet, cultures that you see, images will go in and they will come out in a certain way. You know? Anyone else? Thanks.
Last short question. So.
Hi, so this might be a little bit of a personal question. My question is about kind of like art confidence, because I might not be alone with this problem, but I often feel a struggle with my confidence in myself and within my art. And how do you cope with this, if you have so, or do you have any techniques, or what helps you confidence-wise, maybe, or what helped you in the past?
So you're saying when you start and fail, you can't continue?
Not really, but more like, I don't know, it's like self-confidence maybe in your art, and being able to showcase yourself to others, and you know, just confidence, basically.
Well, you know, the thing is, you can't worry about what other people think when you're doing it. If you worry about what other people think, you will always have these whispers in your ear. And you've just got to experiment, all the time experiment. You know, a lot of people I find, a lot of artists I find that have this problem, they don't work enough, they don't sit down and work hard at the job, you know? And you've got to find time for it. You know, you've got to cut out the social networking, you've got to cut out the dinners and the this and that, and it sounds hard, but you know, when I started out, I was a maniac, man. There was 2 weeks I did four movies in 2 weeks. I was doing the 4 all at once because I was so worried about not working in the industry, and I was so worried about not having a resume and this. And in the US, it's very important, you know. They love flash. They want to see. They want to see names on that resume. They want to see the big stuff, you know. So I worked very, very hard and practiced alone for many years, you know. That's what artists do, you know. They work alone and then you present your work. And the confidence comes from working a lot and finding yourself. If you're not confident with your work, it's because you haven't found it. And you haven't found yourself, it's because you haven't done enough of it. It's as simple as that. And there's no magic trick. You just got to keep working at it, and you'll find that you'll be onto something, and then that thing will change to something else. And as you go through your life, it'll always change. It'll never, you know. I remember when I was, 20 at school, and I was like, oh, I found it. This is me. This is the aesthetic that I will live with me for the rest of my life. And like 6 months later, it's completely different. So you just gotta practice as much as you can. And you'll get the confidence. I mean, you're young. You'll get the confidence. You guys have got to practice while you're young. All those guys that you see that you love, it's hard work, man. Craig, did you guys know Craig Mullins? Yeah. Have you heard of him? He's a god, right? I mean, I used to hang out with him, and you paint real, oil paint. I go over and he goes, I just don't know how to paint people. Can you show me? I'm like, I can't show you. I can't show you how to paint people. And he would, I have some of his paintings at home, where he was horrified that I took them. And because he was moving, and I said, can I have these? And he said, yes. And so I took them, and then later I reminded them, and he said, give them back. But he was amazing. I mean, but he had no social life. I mean, back when we started, we didn't have a social life like you have now. We didn't have Facebook. All we did was do oil paintings. And he would paint all the time. He would have a girlfriend for about 3 days, and she'd get sick of it because he was always painting, and it paid off later. So you've got to, in your young years, you've got the energy, you've got to paint as much as you can, you've got to work as much as you can, you've got to study as much as you can. Your education doesn't end when you graduate from college, it continues, so keep practicing.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so this is the end.
Most muszáj elindulnunk innen a Preziből. A Prezinek ezúton szeretnénk megköszönni, hogy itt lehettünk. Itt ki tudtok menni, és akinek van kedve, az tényleg jöjjön velünk az Ankerbe. Stay where you are. Várjatok egy picit. Whatever you want.